for always joining us and sharing your insight all the way from Israel. Now we move on to our next news. European leaders are stepping up for calls for pressure on Russia ahead of the planned Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. They insist Ukraine's future cannot be decided without Kyiv at the table. A joint statement from top EU leaders reaffirms that international borders cannot be changed by force and that Ukraine has the right to choose its destiny. Leaders say meaningful talks require a ceasefire or reduced hostilities, and they pledge continued military, financial, and diplomatic support for Kyiv. The White House is considering inviting President Zelenskiy to Alaska as well. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron have vowed to work closely with President Trump and President Zelenskiy in the days ahead. Now we're joined by Professor Vasilin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School. Thank you, Professor, for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, how might European leaders' insistence on Ukraine's involvement in peace talk impact the potential outcome of Trump-Putin summit?
Well, it's very important to Ukraine to be on the table of any negotiation that concern Ukraine. That's the normal way ahead. So the first pronouncement of Donald Trump about some discussions about territories together with Putin are absolutely nonsense, useless. If the meeting in Alaska go without Ukraine, it will be a photo opportunity of two narcissists, big ego people like Putin and Trump, who just want to shake hands and be on the photo of the first page in the news. But nothing of that meeting can happen unless Ukraine is involved in that. So very clearly, as you said, Asuma, all European leaders, the European Commission, but also other governments, Canada, Australia, and so on, express very clearly that the territory cannot be discussed without Ukraine. Such a meeting will look like the meeting of Chamberlain and Hitler in 1938 in Munich without Czechoslovakia. And well, we know what happened after that. So a meeting in Alaska can prolong the war, not stop the war. And it is exactly the opposite of what Donald Trump wanted with his ultimatum. So we see a continuation of some erratic, incompetent policies coming from United States administration, but obviously the European governments all together unitedly try to make any sense of such development.
Yes, and Professor, now you have given us all the reasons why he should be invited and why he should be the one deciding the future for Ukraine. Do you think that US will end up inviting Ukraine to the table?
Possible, by the way. Trump is changing his mind every day. So by Friday, there are still plenty of time. There are 5 days. Anything can happen in the next 5 days. And he's a zigzag player. He tries to please everybody on one side and the other side. So let's see. But as I said, unless Ukraine is on the table, no serious discussion can happen. And if they meet without Ukraine, that will be a useless, unnecessary meeting, a photo opportunity for two of them. The two criminals, by the way, both of them, Trump is a convicted criminal 34 times by independent jury anonymously. And Vladimir Putin is another indicted criminal for the worst crimes of aggression, crime of humanity, genocide. And he's indicted by the international. So a meeting of two criminals in Alaska to make a good photo together is everything that we can expect from Alaska on Friday, unless things change by that time.
And Professor, you've all mentioned some things in your first answer that if they meet without Ukrainian president, then it might prolong the war instead. Can you build a little bit on why do you think so?
Yes, obviously, because Vladimir Putin will see that meeting as a legitimation of what he does in Ukraine. And he's desperate to get something like that. That's why he's happy to fly to Alaska in a kind of a symbolic place to go. Alaska used to be a Russian territory back in the 19th century. So if the meeting is without Ukraine, that will be a victory for Putin, but kind of a victory which he will obviously expose in his manipulative media and propaganda. And it will prolong the war exactly because there is no pressure on Russia to agree on any ceasefire. And Russia will continue killing civilians in Ukrainian city. So unless there is a sanction, that's exactly what Donald Trump promised with the ultimatum, which expired on 8th of August, to have more sanctions on Russia and to have secondary sanctions on countries that trade with Russia. If that doesn't happen, the war will continue for a long time.
And Professor, like these kind of solutions, whatever comes out of this upcoming meeting on Friday, do you think such solutions, if any solution is made without President Zelensky, do you think it can work long term?
Yes, unless, as I said, unless there is a discussion on ceasefire, if for some reason Vladimir Putin announces a ceasefire on Friday, 15th of August, that could be one outcome to start the real negotiation already with Ukraine on the table about other matters. Then yes, unless we see that, but I'm very, very skeptical that Russia will stop fire on Friday, 15 August. Its demands are absolutely unacceptable. They are against the international law. They are against the United Nations Charter. No country in the world will, apart from North Korea possibly, or China, may accept any, even China will not accept territorial changes in the aftermath of aggression. Territorial integrity and political independence are part of the United Nations Charter. So anything Trump and Putin can talk in Alaska is useless without the rest of the world. The world is 193 countries, and the president of 2 of them are meeting and discussing the territory of another country. That's absolutely illegal, against the international law, against the UN Charter. Nobody will accept that.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Professor Veselin.